Okay, it's time to go. We're going to finish the week off really strong with 3 health trends that are actually quite sickening if you are doing this for, let's say, a lot of times during the week, all right? So we're going to talk about these that I would consider health trends that you should avoid like the plague. Hi, I'm Jonathan Landsman, your host for Natural Health 365 Live. We do this broadcast live for you each and every day from Monday to Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. And these shows are primarily designed to always keep your immune system healthy and strong. That's what it's all about, to protect your health. And hey, by the way, if you're new, sometimes I forget to mention this, but it's a big thing for us here. If you're new to this broadcast, please type new in the comments section below so we can give you a very special welcome to our Natural Health 365 live broadcast community. And by the way, don't feel shy as I go through some of this stuff. Please feel comfortable to put a comment down below. Let me know what you think about some of these that we're going to go through right now. Number 1, really big health trend, right? It just looks on the surface, it seems like such a great, healthy thing to do. Plant-based meat products, right? It's all the craze everywhere you go. Fast food's even getting into it. All the supermarkets have it. Restaurants offer it as an option. You can have meat that's plant-based. Wow, this is great, right? Well, let's look at it. Take, for example, of course, one of the biggest examples of this, the Impossible Company that makes what's called the Impossible Burger. Do you know who's backing this venture? Yeah, of course, they have a front guy who's running the whole show, but the backers of this company that have taken this whole concept of plant-based meat to another stratosphere is the United Nations and one of our favorites. I laugh because we've done a lot of shows on him. Bill Gates, his money is actually backing this company and this whole concept. But again, on the surface, seems like it's really great. But if you flip over the packaging and you just simply look at the ingredients, listen, I know you're probably watching us saying, I would never eat that crap. But to be honest with you, I'm sure you and I both know plenty of people out there who think that's a pretty cool alternative to regular red meat out there. And I would hope that you would share this show with them so that they can give a second thought to this product and buying it with their money. Soy protein isolate. It's one of the big ingredients in these products. What's the matter with soy protein? Sounds so natural. Soy protein isolate is actually really genetically manipulated, although they'll tell you it's just genetically engineered. But a lot of people in my audience, they love to call it what it really is. Genetically manipulated food ingredients. That's exactly what soy protein isolate really is. They also have textured wheat protein. So this textured wheat protein is filled with gluten. And gluten is something that a lot of people are having heavy reactions to today. So again, if any of you are concerned about your long-term, what your health is going to be like, if you're suffering right now with digestive issues, especially something as well known as leaky gut syndrome, you definitely want to be very careful about consuming a lot of gluten-rich foods. And the Impossible Burger is definitely one of those rich in gluten. Not a good idea. There's also yeast extract in there. Now, I don't know if that sounds good to you. For me, not at all. And again, back to gut health, not really good to be consuming yeast extract. And you got to keep in mind, all of this that we're talking about, this health craze that has taken over, at least here in the United States, is so unhealthy is because of the few things I've mentioned already, how destructive they are to the gut. When you're eating foods that are punching holes in your gut lining, this is not a good idea. And we know for a fact that autoimmune disorders, which are close to 200 now at this point, that so many people are suffering with, really the foundation of all of these problems really start inside the gut. When the gut is getting damaged over and over again, when inflammation is growing in the body, and then the gut gets damaged to the extent that food can just pass right through, well, guess what? Large food particles alone, not a good idea to have pass through the gut lining, but also it's putting an opening for a lot of toxins to get into the bloodstream as well. So this is all not a good idea. It all starts with our food, and this is one that we're calling out big time that you should stay away from. The bottom line is also, I want to mention that whenever you look at any product, especially like the Impossible Burger, and you look at the list of ingredients, if you're seeing it like a chapter in a novel, all of these words on the ingredients of how much stuff is in this burger, you've got to be very careful. Unless it's a burger that you make at home, with, say, organic lentils, and you're putting all kinds of diced vegetables in, and it's onions and carrots and mushroom. Hey, nothing wrong with organic ingredients like that. But when you look at the ingredients in the Impossible Burger, it is nothing like that at all. This is like a laboratory burger. It is disgusting, and it's highly processed ingredients. None of this is what you should be eating most of the time. So if this is one of your meals during the day, it's time to cut it out and replace it with real food. It also promotes something that, again, on the surface, hey, everybody, let's have a plant-based, meatless burger. Wouldn't that be great? It tastes like meat. You're going to save the environment, right? Again, nothing could be further from the truth. Why do I say that? Because the ingredients in here, like the soy, the main ingredient here that makes up the flavoring of this burger, is from non-organic soy that's genetically engineered, genetically manipulated, and that soy, the soy crops, come from this monocrop modern agriculture that's actually quite destructive to the environment. They're doing acres and acres and acres, right? Thousands and thousands of soy. And then there's thousands and thousands of corn, all genetically engineered, toxic seeds in the ground, heavily sprayed with herbicides, pesticides. They're doing that as well. The soil is breaking down year after year because they're not rotating their crops at all the way a really good biodynamic organic farmer would. So the soil quality is horrific, lower and lower. The chemicals they're pouring into the environment, all to grow this soy stuff to make this kind of food product. This is the last thing we need for the environment. And you have a really good idea about this if you go to a farm that I'm thinking of right now, like Joel Salatin has, Salatin, Joel Salatin in the Virginia area, a magnificent farm where he has a collection of all kinds of stuff from wild mushrooms and produce and animal products, and he's rotating everything all the time, and his soil quality is rich, and he's just doing everything in accordance to nature and in harmony with nature and by the seasons. When you look at the way he raises food, the healthiest quality food for people to eat, you realize how far away it is with modern agriculture today, modern farming techniques. And that's why so many people at the foundational level are suffering with so many health problems. The food that's being grown today is such poor quality. And then on top of that, they're genetically engineering it. It is absolutely crazy. So let's get away from these Impossible Burgers and this fake meat, plant-based meat stuff, okay? Don't invest your money in it. Number 2, these smart wearables. I would imagine if you're relatively on the young side, you're probably more up on these things. We're talking about an industry. This is not just a little side gig. By 2022, they're looking at about a $27 billion industry. All this smart technology that's being weaved into all of these things, and particularly in the fitness and the lifestyle industry, right? It's being marketed to people as something super cool, very convenient, new technology, the way everybody should go, right? We're looking at smartwatches and fitness trackers, and you're seeing this pervasive. And to be quite honest with you, I came out of a health and fitness industry and running a lot of large clubs, and the fitness clubs are big feeders into this as well. The smart technology, the machines that people go on, and how they can link up to watches that they have. It's crazy what's going on. The same thing throughout people's homes. They're literally building brand new homes with all of this smart technology. Head-mounted displays, all this virtual reality stuff that's all marketed to people as this wonderful benefit and advance in technology. Smart clothing they've got, smart jewelry they're making. It's crazy. Why do I say it's crazy? Because, people, we're exposing everybody very directly to more and more radiation. Remember the old warnings we would have for pregnant women? Never to stand in front of a microwave oven. It's not good for the unborn child. What about all the other radiation that we're being exposed to every day? And I get it. We're all using cell phones these days. But when we're looking at all of this smart technology that they want to strap on to people now on top of the cell phone, on top of the cell towers, on top of the 5G that they want to deploy all over the place with thousands of satellites up in space bombarding all of this radiation down on us. This is something we really need to think about more. And I know a lot of you understand that microwave radiation is a really bad thing to be exposed to too much. And that distance is very important for us to get away from this stuff. But a lot of you ask, how do we solve this problem? A lot of people don't know about it. And my answer is always the same, and I know it can be frustrating for a lot of people out there. It's awareness, awareness, awareness. If more people aren't thinking about this and having some reservations, nothing's going to change. And the telecommunication industry is going to be able to plow forward and pop up these towers everywhere, these cell towers. These satellites are going to be launched into space, and all of this smart wearable technology is just going to keep going up and up, and everybody's just going to think it's a super cool, convenient thing to have, and no one's going to be giving too much thought to the idea of all the radiation they're exposing, not only themselves, but people that live with them in their homes, the children who are the most vulnerable, and those who are immune compromised like the elderly. This kind of stuff is really dangerous. The long-term radiation exposure, even if the communications industry and all of these companies want to let you know, oh, it's such a low level, don't worry about it at all. This Wi-Fi and all this Bluetooth technology, which is very similar to the cell phone radiation that's absolutely known by the cell phone industry to be quite dangerous. If you look at their manuals, they'll even literally tell you, do not have the cell phone pressed up against your body. Keep it at least an inch or so away, right? They admit that it's not something healthy to have up against your body, and yet we have way too many people pressing up phones against, right, the women inside their bra. The men are putting it in their pockets right close to you-know-what, and they're not thinking about any of this ever, and they're even already warning the public about it, except they bury those instructions and that warning inside a manual that isn't even handed to people when they get their cell phones or any of this stuff now. It's buried inside the device itself, something that most people never read. And so some of the health issues we need to understand are directly connected to this wireless microwave-type radiation is brain fog, birth defects, chronic fatigue, cancer issues and concerns, headaches as well, dementia. And headaches, if I could pause for a moment, these smart meters, which are these energy measuring devices that the utility companies are strapping on to the outside of people's homes. These smart meters are pulsing out electromagnetic frequencies that are quite harmful to people. And people who have those just on the outside of where their bedroom is, where they're sleeping, their head is right next to these meters on the outside of the homes. They're getting nosebleeds, massive head pain, and as soon as they literally move to another area of their home, even if they don't move the smart meter from the house, they already feel so much better. So proximity is everything, and if we're getting surrounded by this stuff, it's dangerous. Dementia, definitely a concern. Fibromyalgia, which I love most conventional doctors still saying, oh, that must be stress-related. It's all in your head. We're talking about body pains all throughout somebody's body, and they don't know what it's from. Definitely microwave radiation exposure from all this wireless technology is a big reason why people can develop this chronic cellular inflammation. And the more inflamed your cells are, the more sensitive they are to pain. So when people are struggling with pain, absolutely. Heart issues, heart arrhythmias, this is a really big deal. For those people who have all those irregular heartbeats or even might have pacemakers in there, and then you have all this wireless technology close to you, you better watch out because that is definitely messing with you in a negative way, electrically speaking, right? And our heart is all about an electrical system sending out a natural, healthy electrical impulse. But when it's off, you should be thinking about wireless technology and perhaps getting yourself far away from it as much as you can. High blood pressure issues, insomnia, absolutely, especially if this technology is close to your head when you're trying to go to sleep at night. Lyme disease, absolutely, you're more susceptible to suffering from chronic Lyme disease if you're exposed to a lot of wireless technology. Miscarriages, absolutely as well, and a weakened immune system overall. That's what we're talking about here, is getting away from these things like smart wearables that absolutely create a better environment for chronic inflammation. And this chronic inflammation absolutely is going to weaken your immune system over time. If you're in your 20s or 30s, I know it's hard to hear. You can get away with this because you're young and strong and have a lot of inherent energy inside your body. But as you approach your 40s and 50s and beyond, that's when this stuff ends up being the analogy I use all the time. Toxin, 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 filling up the bathtub until it just spills over, and that's when you notice you have a problem. So I think the point is made very clear. The last one, the third one I'm going to cover today, big health trend, and this is right up in my wheelhouse because my master's studies in exercise physiology. I worked with a lot of high-performance athletes, kids that wanted to make school teams. That was fine, easy enough. I had college scholarship athletes or those that wanted to get college scholarships as well, worked with them as well, and professional athletes from all different sports. I had the opportunity to do this when I was younger. And so sports is a big deal, but this trend is, I'm laughing because it really is a lot of hype. It's a lot of marketing. It's a lot of jazz to try to get people into something new. It's HIIT, high-intensity interval training. Now, don't get me wrong. We're going to push this aside right away. There is a place for a high-performance athlete to do easy, consistent, steady, low-level exercise and then jack it up and have some higher intensity workout sessions and have a good mixture of these. And it's quite complex and very sophisticated as to what you do with an athlete depending on the sport that they're in. It has to be sport specific. But for the average person, this high-intensity interval training, you want to hear some of the stated benefits? Ooh, this is exciting. Now, I want you to realize I'm laughing because I'm thinking of the average person in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond who just wants to incorporate exercise into their life for health reasons, right? And this is all pushed now. This This HIIT routine is all high-intensity interval training is all about having health benefits, right? So most people want just less stress, stress reduction activity, lower heart rate, lower blood pressure. So look at these stated benefits of high-intensity interval training. It's efficient. And we'll get back to that. Actually, maybe we'll stop at each one and I'll tell you what I think is so funny about it. It's efficient. 10 to 30 minutes is all you need. Folks, the reason why they come from this place, a lot of people in the fitness industry talk within the industry about how people don't have time to exercise. Doctors are taught this when patients come in. Most people, they don't have time to concentrate on anything. They have the attention of a goldfish. You're probably falling asleep right now, right? So it's a pervasive attitude that the fitness professionals, the exercise experts, and the medical professionals are trained this way to be known as people who view everybody else in the general public as, not having time for anything. So we got a great idea. Let's invent high-intensity interval training. All you got to do is 10 to 30 minutes and all your problems will be solved. Now, I'm not suggesting that everybody that touts this as a great thing says it this way, but it definitely is one of the top benefits. They like to push the idea that it's efficient, right? And you and I both know that we're going to have to dedicate more time, but it seems like more and more we're in a culture where people are afraid to tell the truth. You have to dedicate time to being physically active if you want to get the benefits of being physically fit. There's no way around it. To suggest that 10 minutes, and again, this is just my opinion now from being in this industry for about 35 years, to suggest to the average person, diabetic, heart issues, maybe cancer concerns, you know what I'm saying, blood sugar imbalances, feeling depressed, super stressed out, very overweight. The list goes on and on. Hey, I got a great idea for you, population out there that doesn't feel well. We're going to do some high-intensity interval training. You're going to do about 10, 12, 15 minutes. We're going to do it a few times. And man, you're going to get benefits just similar to what all those other people do with that longer type of exercise. You see my point? It's a really silly notion that they're trying to sell onto people to get them to exercise. But in a practical sense, I'm going to tell you why I'm very concerned about it. Because of those population of people that I just described to you who think that somehow, and again, we'll get to exactly what it is, but that these things are going to give you the same benefits, you might be setting the stage for a lot of these people getting seriously hurt and very disappointed at the very least, and then they get more discouraged to ever try anything in the future because this had a false promise connected to it. It goes on to say things like, it'll burn a lot of calories. Again, that's really a joke if it wasn't true. But this notion of them saying, you're going to burn a lot of calories, again, is teaching a very old, worn-out thing of, if you just burn a lot of calories, that's good. And you know they're speaking to people who are calorie conscious, who are heavy, and feel like, well, wow, maybe I got to try this because if I burn more calories, I'll lose weight. But that notion is so outdated and absurd. To just talk to a population of people that are heavy with all kinds of other serious health issues that, look, you just need to eat less and burn more calories and everything will be okay. That's really an unhealthy bit of advice to give any of those people. So the next thing is you'll lose body fat, which is kind of funny. What about changing the way you eat? But again, this is marketing hype. Try high-intensity interval training because you'll lose body fat, you people who are very, very heavy out there. We should be focusing people on improving the quality of their food, and we should be giving a really hard time to all the politicians out there and all these government health agencies that are not supporting a better food quality system to supply to everybody in every country. It is that simple. HIIT is not going to fix things, especially if the food quality remains so poor. It's going to help you to gain muscle. That's another one. I love that one, right? Improve O2. Your oxygen consumption will go up. Folks, if you just take a deep breath, you're going to improve your oxygen consumption. Again, these are just all very funny terminology. They're not necessarily in and of themselves lies. It's all true. High-intensity interval training will get you to burn calories. Yes, your oxygen intake will go up if you do what this thing is, and we're going to describe exactly what it is in a moment. Yes, all of it is true, but you can get it from much better, sensible exercise every single day that we're going to talk about as well. It's going to help you with your heart rate and your blood pressure, and it's going to help you to reduce blood sugar. Any forms of exercise will do that. This is nothing special, is my point, with high-intensity interval training. It's going to give you something so unique compared to any other form of exercise that you can imagine. Like, you could literally say this about playing Frisbee for 15 minutes or, like, kicking a soccer ball around in a park by yourself. I mean, it's literally the same thing. But they market this as if it's something really special. So what exactly is it? Short bursts of exercise, right? Because they're talking to all these people who don't want to exercise at all, which is a problem in and of itself. But it's trying to teach you that these short bursts of exercise are great. Now, here's the part, no kidding around, that I think is extremely dangerous about this whole health trend. They want you to exercise at about 80% of your maximum heart rate. Folks, let me tell you right now, most people don't know what that feels like. Even if they had it in their past, it was a long time ago. And so I'm speaking directly to those people who are overweight, diabetic, high blood pressure, heart issue concerns. This is really something that's got me concerned when you talk to a population like that and say, do these short bursts of exercise at a really high intensity, and 80% of max heart rate is very intense, even for a short period of time, which they say is 30 seconds. I mean, I'm laughing. Folks, if I made someone out of shape go at 80% of their max heart rate for 30 seconds on, give them 30 seconds rest, which is what this is suggesting, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, they're going to be wiped out, and that should be the least that happens to them. People with heart arrhythmia issues, blood sugar problems, you could create all kinds of a world of hurt for people if you put them through this kind of exercise. And I don't think that's something that any of these professionals really want. But the reality is that's exactly what this kind of exercise will do for those people. It's easy to pull muscles at that point as well. So you just have to be very sensible about this. And, of course, they point to activities like rowing or boxing or treadmill. They don't talk anything much about technique and the importance of what you do and are you doing it properly and is it appropriate for you or not. And those are the things I question when it comes to this health trend. Look, as we close out, very simple, better choices are eat real food, not processed crap like this plant-based meat substitute stuff that's being put out there, all these burgers that are out there. Eat real food. Even better, if you can make it at home from real food, that's great. Just measure your heart rate, folks. You can put your finger right here in your throat area, count how many beats in 60 seconds your heart is beating, and there you go. You have a number as to what your resting heart rate might be, or if you're exercising, you can check it, say, for 10 seconds, and then multiply it by 6, and now you have how much your heart is probably beating at that moment in time for a minute. You don't need any fancy technology to plug into that remotely goes up to a satellite and down to your computer, and you can download histories. It's really too much, folks, especially when you consider how much radiation you're going to be exposed to. You can do the same thing with blood pressure. You can get one of these cuffs. They can blow up. They're battery operated. You can put a cuff on. It'll give you a number that's relatively close to what you would get if you had it manually taken by a healthcare provider. It gives you a sense from day to day what your blood pressure might be if you want to check it each day. Again, you don't need a wireless device that's going to expose you to radiation for that. Exercise, as I've been going on and on about high-intensity interval training, just walk consistently. Did I say consistently? And try to hit that sweet spot of 12 to 15 miles a week. That's all you need. A couple miles a day for 6 days. You get a day off for good behavior. And that's really fantastic for reducing stress, lowering your blood pressure, lowering your resting heart rate if it tends to be slightly elevated. It helps you to reduce your stress as well. And it is a way low risk, much lower than high-intensity interval training, much lower risk for hurting yourself. And it sets you up for being able to be consistent months and months, years and years ahead. That's the whole point of what you should be doing when you're physically active. It's something that you can do for a lifetime, not something that you can run into problems with in the future. And then, of course, for adding more muscle, like high-intensity interval training says, nothing short of just strength training, resistant training with your body weight, things like this. There's no replacement for that. If you want to put on muscle, nothing else is going to replace it. A wireless device isn't going to do it. A magic pill or powder is not going to do it. You've got to hit weights or strength training, and that's a whole other episode. If you'd like me to get into that, maybe we'll do that in the future. So my question of the day, what is your healthiest habit? Talk to me about it. A, eating organic food. B, avoiding GMOs. C, exercising 5 to 7 days a week. Whatever that might be, please share if you like. Or D, daily meditation. And then letter E could be other. Just list your healthiest habit. Anyway, that's all for today. Just as a reminder, the Natural Health 365 live broadcast. We do this show every single day, Monday to Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. It is all about improving your immune system, which will automatically protect your health. I hope you enjoyed this show today, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a great weekend. All right, Instagram. Hope you enjoyed the show.